me now, I got a little more in life punch. Money in my guns, more guns in my knife punch. You can hate me now, I got a little more in life punch. Money in my guns, more guns in my knife. Okay, so today I'm gonna get you guys about it's about this album right here, right? It's not officially about this album. It's about a case I got in 2004, right? But I had dropped this album in 2004 in January. I had recorded and wrote it in 2003. I want to focus on the CD based on the fact that this album was used against me in court. The lyrics were transcribed onto paper. Right? I think it was around 5 pieces of paper where they had, basically what they did was they took basically the most vulgar, scariest fucking bars that I had on each song and put it on paper, and then they played it in court so the jury could hear it while they go ahead and read it. It was a tactic by the DA, right? So the initial case was I was going down to the flea market to pick up some money for these CDs. I had around $200 or $300 I had to pick up from Jim Hernandez at the Time Warp, and at the time I had I think maybe another $200 with I don't recollect her name, but the name of the record store was called the Hip Factory, and that was on Allen Rock and White, right? So every other Sunday you can go down to the Bay Area and you pick up whatever money they owe you, right? Because basically what you do is you're gonna go and you're gonna put your CDs or whatever you got on consignment, and as soon as they can sell whatever, they give you a call. You can go ahead and go down there and pick up, you know, whatever they owe you, right? And as well as, you know, drop off a couple. That's what I was doing. I was going there to pick up money, and at the same time, Jim didn't have no more CDs, so I was going to drop off more CDs there along with some T-shirts that I had for sale at the time, right? So in doing that, we ran into some little youngsters that were little Southsiders, and you know, of course, they were trying to prove that they were tough guys. One of the dudes hit me up and swung at me, so I laid his ass out. We were in the parking lot of the Bay Area Flea Market. There's broken glass everywhere. I'm more than sure this dude fell down and cut himself with some gas, because who stabs somebody that much, right? So anyhow, but this dude seen blood, fell down on the floor, acting like he was dying and everything. Maybe, I don't know, halfway down the parking lot because they took off running, right? So based on that, you feel me? The cops see it, they know it's a gang fight. They automatically assume it's a fucking knife wound, you know what I mean, a stab wound or whatnot, right? So they called it in to the paramedics saying it's a knife wound. The paramedics treat it as a knife wound, and they call it into your local general hospital, and the doctor treats it as a knife wound. So now it's officially a knife wound. So now the DA can take that and charge me. You know what I'm saying? Because the thing about it is there was never no stabber established. No knife was never found. No knife was never seen. There was 3 witnesses. All the witnesses said that the Southsiders were basically the aggressors. They're the ones who initially asked us if we banged them through the first swing. And at the end of the day, I was the aggressor, the only aggressor. I'm the only one that got charged, and I'm the only one that went to prison for this shit, right? To make matters even worse though, right, is the DA, what he did was he bifurcated my case, right? Which means that what he did was, so the jury I don't get to face my accuser, and at the same time, the jury never sees the victim. All they're gonna see is pictures of him, right? Because the DA, they want him to come in to the courtroom in brown and red, right? Because the so-called victim was incarcerated for murder. This guy is throwing the book at me over and over and over and over, like I'm the bad guy, but he got the victim over there fighting a murder case. You feel me? And he's well aware of this, right? He knows the cut's minute or superficial. Like I said, because the cut, only this is the doctor's statement, is that the cut was superficial, that all it required was gauze and a Band-Aid, and Mother Nature would heal it. You feel me? And what they do, they turn this shit like if I fucking stabbed them 1,000 times. You feel me? Like I was trying to fucking blow up the flea market or something. You know, and they hit me hella crazy and came out with the way the DA went about the whole thing, right? He got this big ass projector. He put my CD. He had this fake ass detective, gang expert supposedly on Hispanic gangs, come and fucking say that the Che Guevara means this and this means that and that means just everything had like some kind of gang fucking code, or it was some kind of NF signs or warnings, or the dude said so much bullshit, the jury believed everything. You know what I mean? So from the get, I already knew right there when they started doing that shit, I was gonna fucking lose, right? But that wasn't the worst part of the fucking whole situation, right? Because they didn't have anything as far as the case goes. Like I said, they didn't bring in the witness. They just had a picture with blood and his jersey with a big old 13 with blood all over it. And then they had him in the parking lot like when he was dying and shit with a little small little cut. You know what I'm saying? Oh, bitch ass shit. You feel me? Like that was hella weak for this person to do that. You know what I mean? You got a little cut, keep it moving, baby. You don't want you to fall on the street and act all like you're dying. You feel me? That shit was crazy. You feel me? But regardless of the fact though, they took me in for the shit. This dude's fighting a fucking murder case. So when I'm in trial, I'm looking at a 5-year gang enhancement, a 5-year prior gang enhancement, a 5-year prison prison prior, right? So that's 15 years. And they gave me 4 years for the assault at 19 years. Then it's a double term because I'm a 2-striker. So these motherfuckers are trying to give me 38 years for a cut that only required gauze and a Band-Aid and Mother Nature would heal it. At the same time, for some people, all the witnesses to say that these guys came up to me, swung at me first, everything all I did was defend myself, and I'm the only one that went to jail behind this whole shit. On top of that, I get 10 years, I go do 6. Out of 6 years, I go do my 6 years, I come back, they're gonna fucking throw me on 3 years high control parole for a fucking little small cut, right? Hit my house hella crazy, having reporting, all kinds of bullshit, right? For that little small ass cut. You feel me? Like, that's basically, so they basically took 9 years away from me. Like nothing. 9 years and it's not a big deal. So that's the thing with this album that like I said, so this album, what they did was they grabbed in the back of it, there's 2 dudes assaulting somebody, right? And they have a knife and a chain, and one of the dudes has a bat or whatnot, right? So they use this against me in court. He blasted this hella big. You feel me? Like I say, he blasted the front cover, and on the inside, I got the inside, the insert. There's an Alma Ave that used to be in the hood at Messiah's house on the side of the wall. I took that, but I took out it was just regular colored paint there. Put sharks inside there, right? And then they slapped the picture of me and the 2 homies. My homeboy Jokes from Sarho, from the east side, and my homeboy Zach from E-Flats, right? Old school volume, Sacramento, right? This picture is from 1995 in Avenal Yard 2, right? And what they call it, these are my boys, right? And so he slapped this shit all up on there. Then he slapped the actual CD itself, and then he put the whole part where it says the executive producer Frank Gucci. You know what I'm saying? And so that was like some of the stuff that he did, right? And then, like I said, he went ahead and he had me. So basically, the judge wanted me to get up and repeat lyrics in the CD, right? Because they never asked me if I was the person on this CD, and I never said I wasn't, right? But they use it in court illegally because, from what they know of, they never did no investigation to prove that it was me. They never got like a voice exemplar or nothing, Basically, I went through this whole fucking case. I went through trial, cost a lot of money. That's basically taxpayers' money for no reason. I went to jail and spent a bunch of taxpayers' money for bullshit, right? But it ain't their money, and if they want you gone, they're gonna fucking get you. They got a list of people they don't want on the streets, and at that time, that was 2004, and I happened to be one of the people that was on that list that they wanted to get rid of, and they're gonna do it by all means. Like I said, there was nothing. They had no case at all. They took something that was nothing, and they turned it into a violent gang case. You feel me? And like I said, and I'm just one person that do that. They did that to me. This guy, I don't know how many times he's done it to how many different people, right? But this same dude had fucking nerve, right? So for this same album, I got pulled in that green light murder subpoena. I got subpoenaed to that shit behind this album because the engineer for Beatdown Records had caught a case, right? Some murders and some shit right happened during the green light. They used this CD to basically prove that he was a gang member, right? Or that he associated with gang members. And this guy's just a fucking producer, soccer player dude, right? He don't even bang or nothing, right? But they grabbed his ass, right? Because he was producing music for the homies in the neighborhood, and they didn't like that shit. So they grabbed this fool and they fucking washed him. They gave him 106 years. That's the engineer for Beatdown Records, right? But that's how I got subpoenaed into that case, and that's why I spoke on it, because I was subpoenaed. I'm actually getting the paperwork for that day that I was subpoenaed, and I'm gonna go ahead and post that so that you guys can read that. So the thing about the album, right, was that they had me repeat the lyrics, right, and forcefully, because I basically refused more than once, and then I tried to plead the fifth, and they told me I couldn't plead the fifth, right? So the judge, what she did was she sent the jury out, then she did a sidebar, and then she got up and let me know that next time she tells me to get the fuck up, to get the fuck up. You feel me? Now I don't know exactly what kind of consequences I was gonna pay if I didn't get up. I spent $15,000 bailing out. So when they had said that there was going to be, I was going to be held in some kind of contempt of the court if I didn't get up. I didn't know exactly what it was going to be, but my lawyer had went ahead and told me that more than likely I was going to go back to jail that day if I didn't get up. So I ended up getting up. Okay, so anyhow, so they did the transcribe onto paper, and then they basically made me get up and state some of the lyrics for the jury, right? They were basically in violation of my constitutional rights, right? I think it was the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the Sixth Amendment, the 14th Amendment. I mean, these people were acting like the shit didn't exist. You know what I mean? And they were just hitting me with everything. And my lawyer was basically showing up every day, practically unprepared. I mean, don't get me wrong, he had his days. And of course, he had to do that because, you know, when it comes to appeal, it can't look too crazy as far as the ineffective assistance of counsel. He got to look like he's doing something. You know what I mean? But otherwise, if anybody else, like I said, this guy basically came unprepared every day. You feel me? And I like I said, I got railroaded. You know what I'm saying? This district attorney and these detectives basically found a way to get me off the streets with illegal tactics. You feel me? Now, I only say this because the cops, what they were doing was, before I caught this case, because I had stood out on the streets for like a little bit over 3 years, which I usually go back to jail within a year or sooner. And because of that, I think the cops were trying to find a way to get me back in jail, right? So what they would do is they would call the landlords, two different places, and they asked them if I had a back area where I can have a storage area where I can store guns and drugs, because I gave guns and drugs to all the local gang members, right? So what that did was that got basically the landlords to evict me. You know what I'm saying? They knew I didn't have no guns or drugs. They just did that purposely so that they could kick me out of the spot where I'm at. You feel me? They didn't want me right there. You know what I mean? They want me in my fucking car. They want me living under the bridge or something, right? So, or back in jail, right? So they were doing these kind of illegal tactics. You know what I'm saying? On top of just like taking me to jail for nothing whenever they felt like it. You know what I mean? But going back to the album though, right? The album, like I said, man, because they had nothing, right? There was no stabber, like I said, there was no stabber, never established. No fucking knife was never found. So only one Sudanio dude, or both the Sudanis, all they said was someone came from behind and rushed them. They couldn't identify nobody, they said, right? One hyena identified somebody. I got identified by everybody. I don't know how, supposedly I got identified by every single person. You know, and like I said, I still feel to this day I got set up. I know that there was a couple of informants. They were trying to be around me and they were hearing things and, you know, shit like that. And the cops had them around me and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? And they just couldn't catch me doing anything. I was starting up legal businesses. I was part of the Greater San Jose Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I was working as a mediator for C.E.O. at Catholic Charities, Washington Youth Center, Catholic Charities with C.E.O. I was being a mediator over there between some of the Sudanos and Norteño gangs when they were doing different functions and conventions and whatnot, right? I also did fatherhood conferences. I did the Men's Circle and the Orlean Project over down at Moxa. You know what I'm saying? And that was all voluntarily too, right? And then like I said, I went ahead and I joined the Greater San Jose Hispanic Chamber of Commerce just to get the mentorship out of it, as far as to learn more about the small business end, right? I mean, on top of taking introduction to marketing and a couple of business management classes and whatnot, right? But they were aware of all these things that I was trying to do out there. You know what I'm saying? I had all my witnesses. I had Jim Brown from American. I have Dick Bernal from Jubilee. I had David Lara from or Sonny Lara from the Star of David. I had Soul from Catholic Charities. I had Mario Zuna Sanchez from Moxa. I had Carlos Figueroa from the Greater San Jose Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. All of them ready to testify on my behalf. But the lawyer, my lawyers, or my dump truck, my dump truck supposedly said that it was a open and shut case. Therefore, there was no reason for me to take the stand. They had no evidence on me, and that we could run with that. And that more than likely I'm going to win the case. It's nothing, right? I didn't see it that way from the effing gate, right? But that's what he said. I think he knew I was going to lose, so it was just all a matter of time of him taking off his little mask. But he basically worked me. You feel me? But that wasn't that I could do anyways. You know, I did a margins motion. The DA, he plotted the whole thing the way he did it. I had Bob Lyons during my prelim. Bob Lyons killed him. He made all the cops look like liars. None of the witnesses could identify me in prelim. All that shit, right? But they still bonded it over to trial court, right? For prelim. Because the prelim is basically the judge gonna look at all the evidence and whatnot and see if it can even be bounded over to trial court now, right? To the next calendar. And so that's what the judge is going to do, right? So he has to go over that. But when you're in a crooked system, and the DA's got all these hookups with judges and other prosecutors and detectives and all of it's a big circle that they got already of a bunch of people that basically when they want you, they're gonna get you. There's nothing you can do about it. You feel me? And they put you in these courtrooms with the right people. You feel me? He ain't gonna put me in a courtroom with someone who's gonna have sympathy for someone who's been in foster homes and sympathy for someone. Nah, man, he's gonna put me in a cold-hearted fucking courtroom with a Republican or some conservative or someone that's highly prejudiced against gangs or someone that he might know on the low that hates Mexicans or whatever however the fuck they do it. But I'm telling you right now though, they had this shit all set up like that. You feel me? So what they do is they put you on these counters and just keep you going. Whereas once he knew that Bob Lyons was fighting the case over there in Hawaii for the Cernas, once the trial started, boom, he hit me with the trial right here. Because now he knows I don't have that lawyer over there, and now he don't have to face Bob. You feel me? And which means that now he can do whatever the fuck he wants. You know what I mean? Because well, Bob, you ain't gonna do what you want. When I was talking about how he bifurcated the case, right? So what happens is, so the jury was never even aware that. So let me start off like this, right? The jury was never aware that the victim in my case, keep in mind, the victim in my case was locked up for murder. The jury was trying me, found me guilty, but had no idea that my victim was locked up for murder because the DA hid it from him. Now, I didn't know they can do that, so I guess they can cite laws and whatnot, case law and whatever at the beginning of your trial. And what that does is that's basically going to block a lot of different shit that you can't do, that your lawyer can't do, I can't do. So we couldn't mention this guy. You feel me? So they had no idea. You know what I mean? So, and then on top of that, a month before my incident, he had gotten to another incident. You know what I'm saying? So a month before my incident, he got into an incident with some Nathaniels. Then he got into it with me. 2 months later, he killed somebody. The dude was a banger. He was on one. You feel me? But at the end of the day, they locked me up because they had a hard on for me. So someone's son got killed because they had more of a hard on for me and they wanted me off the streets, that they let that dude run around and he killed somebody. So trip on this, all right? So my attorney, his name was Michael Hingo. So this dude, during my trial, I think he cut his finger off. I think his wife his wife divorced him and his best friend died during my trial. This guy was unstable like a motherfucker. He was going crazy in there, right? And they still made me go to trial with him. And then he tried to relieve himself a few times and they wouldn't let him relieve himself. You know what I'm saying? Then he called mistrials and they didn't give a fuck. The fucking shit was crazy. You feel me? Like these motherfuckers, no matter what, wanted me in jail. No matter what. You feel me? I think if the jury would have found me not guilty, I was still gonna go to jail no matter what, right? So the only reason why I got back out of the bullshit though is because what I did was Bob, when he finished the trial over there, he tried to come back and was like, what the fuck? You feel me? So he gave me a good deal, and he went ahead and tried to do a motion for new trial, which was denied. And because my other felony was 12 years old, he got me the Romero here.